It is decision day, everybody. This is the best week of the entire season. We have 6 matches this weekend, and every single one of them means something. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, there's one that features 2 clubs that are not gonna be in the playoffs. That one still has meaning. Every single one of these matches has meaning, and we're going to break it all down for you tonight. Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian opposite me here in the viewing sphere here, and you can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how are you, man?
I am doing good. The usual stuff, working the whole 9 yards. Can't complain.
Yep, yep. I am gonna keep myself on mute several times or several occasions throughout the night because I don't want everyone hearing me clearing my throat and coughing and all that kind of stuff. I'm dealing with a little bit of upper respiratory thing right now. So, we are going to have a great show for you tonight, and we're going to get things kicking off here real quick. Let me bring up the outline. And before we get too far into any of the discussions here, I just got back from Statesboro, Georgia, and I got to tell you, I want to send a huge thank you to Darren and Nitra Van Tassel for all the accommodations, like all the the welcoming gestures that they had the entire time that I was down there. It was great to see them both. It was great to spend some quality time with them both on Friday night and on the Saturday. And to be able to go out and enjoy some personal time with them out on the town and see the neighborhood that they live in and the places they get to go. That was really cool. So I want to give a special shout out to a couple places that we went to on Friday night. um excuse me. If you are in Statesboro, go check out Vandy's Barbecue. They have some really good food there, and you're gonna enjoy it. I guarantee it. Also, check out Tandoor and Tap. That's a really good place. Good Indian food, authentic stuff too. I'm told that the cook is from India, and he brought over a lot of those recipes from India too. They have really good cocktails there too. Another place to go to is Vino 1910. They have really good wine there, and they have good cheesecakes too. And last but not least, or I'm sorry, also Sugar Magnolia. I took a stop there. That they have some good stuff there too. And then last but not least, the Clubhouse. And that is a cool place in and of itself because they have a bunch of Tormenta stuff set up in one of the meeting rooms. And you can go in there and see all the former players who have been through the club. It's just a really cool place to be.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like it was a good time then.
it really was, really was. I have no complaints about the entire trip at all. While we were walking around on Friday night, we ended up crossing paths with current goalkeeper Pablo Jara, so that was really good to see him and chat with him for a few minutes. Very nice guy. Uh, he was perfectly happy and willing to sit there and chat with us for a few minutes. Um, and he's a very personable person. It was a good conversation. And then when we went to Sugar Magnolia, we ran into a former Tormenta player, Lars Eckenrode, and it was good to see him. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of geeking out when I saw Lars and Pablo, obviously, because in the off season I was looking at a bunch of stats for Tormenta history, and I kept seeing Lars mentioned in a bunch of these different categories and stuff that he did really well during his time at Tormenta. So to be able to have that write up um, on this player that has history within the club, and then to meet him face to face, that was really cool. That was something special.
Heck yeah.
And also got to meet a bunch of the front office staff members. Um, they were all, so accommodating, like walking up to me, introducing themselves, shaking my hand, and everything. It was great to meet everybody, and I can't wait to go back down there again. It was, oh man, that was such a fun trip.
Yeah. Not surprising from the conversations we've had with Darren and Nitra. I mean, you can tell that those folks have their head on in the right direction and know exactly how to run a club the right way. So
Yeah,
huge shout out to them.
yeah. It was a very special weekend. So hopefully, Um, you know, you'll be down there next year, so you'll be able to experience some of that as well.
Oh yeah. Not planning on the car breaking down next year. So
All right, well, we're going to jump into some stuff here. We're going to give you all the latest news from around the league. We're going to do a quick review of week 30. We're going to dive into the week 31 previews, all about decision day, talk about all the playoff scenarios, and then we're going to answer any questions that you may have along the way. If you are in the YouTube chat, feel free to submit any questions as we go. We'll be more than happy to answer those as well. Uh, but before we do, as we start any show, Brian, what you drinking?
I'm gonna go since you're not doing the drinking this evening, I'm gonna go with some Bush Lights because I feel like at least one of us should be drinking on the show. And yours, understandably so, can't be done. So I will carry that burden, because it is such a heavy burden to carry.
Yeah, I appreciate you can probably hear it in my voice how like it's a little rough.
Yeah. I can only imagine what your upper respiratory area is going through right now because that's a lot of talking on the show for sure.
Yep.
I will do my best to jump in and go on more tangents on this show for you.
All right, well, let's get into some USL news. The We have plenty of club news to go over, but we'll go over those as we hit those clubs in the previews tonight. But as far as league news, the biggest item that we have is that last week when we were on Winners and Woozers, we were talking about the rumors about a club potentially forming themselves in the Lancaster, California area. And we seem to have spoken it into existence because uh, I think it was Wednesday, excuse me, um, they actually announced that they are going to be formally announcing their intent to join League One. And this is going to be in 2025. It's going to be in Antelope Valley, which is immediately north of Los Angeles. Um, they're going to be playing at Lancaster Municipal Stadium, which is also known as the Hangar. And they're going to be announcing, oh, the hangar holds 5,300 people, so there's plenty of opportunities to get some good crowd, attendance
Heck
in
yeah.
that stadium. And they also plan on announcing their name, their colors, and their crest in March of 2024, and they'll take the field in 2025.
Yeah. Always great to have another team in the league. Even better when it's a West Coast team. You see a huge, huge amount of teams in the Southeast and even moving up to the Northeast now at this point, too. So getting some teams on the West Coast is always good. Now, if we could just work on getting a few more teams out here in the Midwest instead of the three that we have, that would be terrific. But you'll take what we can get. And this also means some more League One after dark, which I am all all for.
Isn't that amazing? That's going to be so great. And so if we're just, spreading rumors or we're just tossing out ideas here, what sort of moniker, since that seems to be a theme within League One, what moniker do you think they're going to go with?
Ooh, Antelope Valley, right? I don't know much about the area. Uh, North of Los Angeles. So obviously they don't have City of Angels. They can't use anything like that.
Yeah.
Antelope Valley. Antelope Valley. Ooh. See, this is why I'm not part of the marketing and design team on any professional sporting because I got nothing. I would have to look up some more of the area. But the
Well, I'm also
hangar,
putting you on the spot.
I mean the hangar, so maybe we go with some aerospace reference maybe.
Yeah.
Um I don't know.
Yeah. See, I was thinking along the same lines as that vein of or that branch of thinking right there. If they're playing in the hangar, I wonder if there's going to be some sort of a aviation influence to
Yeah,
their name.
that would be cool. I would
Yeah.
definitely be down for that. Um Plus, I mean, as cool as it is to just have Antelope Valley FC or Antelope Valley SC. I mean, bringing some other things, kind of like the velocity and stuff like that. I know that was kind of controversial, but I mean, we also Americanize everything in the states. So yeah, I'm all for them going all out and just calling themselves the 747s or something like that. Maybe something cooler than that, but along
Yeah.
those lines.
All right. And then as we dive into a quick review of week 30, started off with a couple of matches on Wednesday. First, we had Union Omaha getting a 4-1 victory at home against Charlotte in their home finale for the regular season. Steven
Mhm.
Dos Santos got his hat trick there. And then the evening closed out with a Central Valley contest against Greenville. Greenville taking the 2-1 victory. Um, Alan Gavilanes took the spotlight with that assist in the second. I think it was the second. It might have been the first half. I can't remember when he stole the ball in the penalty area, and then I think he passed it to Labovitz on the back end.
That sounds correct. Yeah.
Such a great goal. So fun to watch. But yeah, they got that victory. We had a draw on Saturday. I think it Saturday? Or was it Friday?
Oh, this last week was all
Oh, it was
sorts of
Friday.
screwy. Yeah, a lot of weird matches this week. This
Yeah, so there
past
was a
week.
2-2 draw between One Knox and Richmond on Friday. Um, a bit of a goalkeeper showdown between Sean Lewis and Will Palmquist. Both had, uh, good stats on the good performances that night. So
Hmm.
that was a fun one to watch. And then we started off on Saturday with a pretty feisty match between Lexington and North Carolina. North Carolina getting the 1-0 victory, but there were 11 yellow cards and 3 red cards, 2 of which were straight reds.
Yeah,
And
and anybody.
furthermore,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say anybody who was watching the Union Omaha match also heard everything going on with that match as well. Um, for some reason, signals must have got crossed or something in the trailer, and they plugged two things into the same soundbar. So Omaha fans were treated to uh, the audio from that match and the Northern Colorado Madison match as well. So I mean, I I can't complain because then I got to keep up with both matches, but it confused the hell out of me for the first about 15 minutes of it happening.
Yeah, when I checked um, Twitter when I was at Tormenta Stadium, I kept seeing people talking about the audio issues, and I kept thinking, I have no idea what they're talking about since I'm sitting here watching live. Um, but apparently, they was throwing everybody else for a loop too, so you weren't alone.
Oh no. And I knew it sounded like another match was playing over top of it. Granted, I had the Lexington, North Carolina match playing on my phone while the Omaha match was up on my big screen upstairs. So um, I don't remember who I was talking. I think it was Shot I was talking to on Twitter and saying, I know for sure I turned the sound off. I double checked. And sure enough, I turned the sound up a little bit. I'd hear the whistle on my phone, and a couple seconds later, I'd see it up on the hear it up on the screen as well. So
Huh?
it took a while to figure out that that was from a different match in League One, but I mean, if we could just now get ESPN Plus to have the tri screens like YouTube TV does, man, it would make League One coverage significantly easier.
Yeah. Yep. So, like we said, there were 11 yellow cards and 3 red cards. All except for one came in the second half.
Damn.
So there was a lot of tension building, building, building. Halftime, cooler heads prevailed. They went to their locker rooms, they came out, and they just started duking it out right away.
Hmm. Yeah, you could really tell both teams were feeling it and getting kind of feisty. Um, Also hearing it, the fans out there um, in Lexington were giving them hell, and really made their presence felt. Excuse me, while they were watching the match, but that was just a crazy match to say the least.
Yep. But then we had another 2-2 draw between Chattanooga and Greenville in the Den. Um, Chattanooga took a 2-0 lead at halftime, and then Greenville scored 2 in the second half to come back to earn the draw on the road.
Mhm.
And in doing so, they punched their ticket to their 5th straight playoffs, the only team to do so in League One history.
Yeah, I mean, it is a huge accomplishment, and I do just have to say how many teams are still around from the inaugural season until now that could have done that. There's not that many that are still around, but still, give Greenville their dues. I mean, obviously they're one of the premier clubs in this league, and they show their worth every season.
Yep. And then we get into the Tormenta versus Union Omaha match where there was a first half red card going against Tormenta, and Union Omaha capitalized on that, scoring 3 goals in the second half to win the match 4-0.
Mhm.
And then we also had Northern Colorado winning 2-0 over Ford Madison. And um, Northern Colorado held Ford Madison scoreless in every single match they played this season. I believe they're the only team to do that against Ford Madison. I'd have to take a look, but
Mhm.
I believe they're the only ones to do it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I will say that score is very deceiving because Northern Colorado scored both of their goals not during the run of play. One was a free kick goal, and another one was a penalty. So Madison's defense did hold fairly well against that very good Northern Colorado team. So that 2-0 looks a lot worse than the match actually was.
Yeah, I'm looking up that Ford Madison stuff right now.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, I'll jump in, and we got a few things in chat. Tim
oh
from
yeah, I found it.
Ranting Blue Penguin Media, when we were talking about Antelope Valley, um, saying Edwards Air Force Base is out there. It's a major test base for the United States Air Force, so could be cool. Throw something in there as well. And then Michael coming in saying, as a fan watching LSC versus NCFC live, the ref was so frustrating. I I think you have a point there. That ref seemed a little bit out of his element for a large swath of that match. So I get it. We do have to remember that this is also a development league for the referees. As much as we hate it, they do come here to get experience as well. So I mean, this is kind of what we're gonna get from here on out. Doesn't mean we can't complain about it because we'd all like perfect refereeing, but until the league makes a lot more money and we can implement VAR, I think we're gonna have decisions that go the wrong way and referees that are still trying to learn their craft and move up. So
Yeah, and with that many cards handed out in a single match, you would think that one, if not both clubs submit that match for review.
yeah.
So you would have to think that that ref was put under the microscope at some point
Mhm.
following the final whistle.
Rightfully so. I mean, every referee, they should be looking at every referee's job every single week anyway. It's just my opinion as a professional referee, um, place of employment. They should be checking their employees' work to make sure that they're doing the best they can, and if they're not, get them the proper training to do so. But that sounds like some maybe an off-season show topic right there. We can talk about the ways we would change pro referees' style
Yep.
of refereeing.
Yep.
File that one away for the cold winter months.
That'll be a good one. So now that week 30 is over, we can go over the predictions that we had from last week. Now, Brian, you gambled big time last week.
I did.
You were going for some upsets last week, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, none of them paid off.
No, no. I really thought that I would get at least one of them. That was kind of my thought process. I knew I really honestly thought that Tormenta was going to beat Omaha, but Omaha just continues to play really well down the stretch. And obviously, 8 goals in two matches, that'll do it.
Well,
But
with the way that Toby Otieno was playing there in the midfield, I mean, there was reason to be concerned because he was running like his hair was on fire in that first half.
oh yeah,
If you give up a first half red card, I mean, you have to think that the second half is going to go pretty roughly.
Y-
So,
yeah, especially when you're playing against one of the top 3 teams in the league this season. I mean that it, it is going to be very difficult for anybody in the bottom half of the playoff table to take down any of the top 3 this season in the playoffs. I
yeah,
mean, all 3 of those teams are playing so well right now.
which is a shame because, man, there were some really good performances coming out of those Tormenta players. If they were at full strength heading into that second half, that would have been way, way closer.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, but I was wrong in
Well,
my prediction. So,
yeah. So at the end of the week, you finished with a 2-5 record, whereas myself and the fans, we flipped that and we ended up with a 5-2 record. So, fans, congratulations. And now we can jump into the week 31 previews. Now, this is decision day. All the matches are not being played at the same time, but they're staggered enough that you can try to get some action from, quite a few of these matches. There's 6 of them happening. Every club plays once, obviously, and every single one means something. This is absolutely insane to think about. We have 12 clubs in this league. In this last match day of the regular season, every single one of these matches means something.
mhm,
We have the players shield that is still on the line. We have the first round bye that is still on the line. We have first round home advantage, which is still on the line. We have the last playoff spot, which is on the line.
mhm.
This is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and even if you take all of the actual postseason stuff out of it, I mean, you have teams here, and we're getting ready to talk about them right now that are going to be playing for um, some momentum springboarding into next season, which you can't overstate enough. I mean, there's momentum is huge in this league as well. So maybe playing some kids as well, seeing what pieces work here, what pieces work there, and just trying to get a foothold into next season with this last match, knowing that you are not going to be in the playoffs. There's still a whole lot to fight for on decision day.
So let's go ahead and dive into the first match on Saturday evening. This one is going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be Richmond Kickers hosting Central Valley Fuego. Now you have 11th place Richmond Kickers
Mhm,
hosting 12th place Central Valley Fuego.
mhm.
Naturally, you would think this match means absolutely nothing. Well, these are the kind of matches where you have to find the meaning in order to take the field and make sure that there's an entertainment value because it would be so easy to brush this match aside.
Yep.
There is still something here, but the promo theme for this evening is gonna be fan appreciation night, which a lot of these matches are gonna be fan appreciation night.
Yeah. You're going to see a common thread here.
Yeah. And this one is presented by Feedmore. They're gonna have giveaways, they're gonna have prizes, raffles throughout the night. At the end of the match, they're gonna have player autographs. So you can go to the Richmond Kickers Club website. $5 from every ticket that you purchase will be donated to help Richmond neighbors in need, which is Feedmore's mission in the Richmond community.
Beautiful.
They're also going to have a quote unquote party perfect patio deal. For $38, you get a 2-hour all you can eat buffet and access to a private bar. and
Hey,
that sale ends tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So better jump on that deal.
yeah. Now, the real question here is it an all you can drink private bar or is it a paid bar? That is the real question because
That is a very good question.
I can do a lot of damage to a open bar in 2 hours. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, yeah, that would be fun. If that were the case, every single one of those tickets would be sold in no time.
Yeah, I would get my $38 out of that easily.
Yeah. And like we said, this match is going to have meaning. And the meaning for this one is going to be on Richmond's side. Th- By winning this match, they could propel themselves as high as ninth place to finish the regular season, which matches their worst ever finish in the League One history, going back to 2019. So Richmond's whole storyline for this evening is going to be about avoiding their club's worst ever finish in a League One season, as well as, like Brian said, springboarding themselves into the off season, generating a bunch of motivation and momentum toward next season, and generating that talk, that buzz ahead of next season.
Yeah, I mean, granted, they're to get into that ninth place, they're going to need a little bit of help. They need Lexington to lose to Greenville and Chattanooga to lose at Northern Colorado. So um, they need some help, but I mean, you can only control what you can control on decision day. If you go in there, you win the match, and it's going to be a common theme with all of these teams that are playing for something right now. All you can do is go in and win the match, and then see where it ends. Obviously, you have Richmond trying to come into ninth place, but Central Valley also is going to be playing for something. It's not going to be results. They're finishing 12th, winning the wooden spoon, no matter what happens. Um, and that's unfortunate if you're a CV Fuego fan, but there are things to look forward to. It, like I said, it is a springboard into your future. Um, Maybe you play some kids. Maybe you uh, get the fans to watch again. And this is not a small match. I mean, Richmond is still one of the big teams in the league, especially with all the history they have. That would still be a huge win for Central Valley if they were to be able to pull it off.
And we saw Will Palmquist last week having some good performances there against North Carolina. So to see him perform in another vital match with some obvious storylines to come from it would be great to see, especially knowing that this could be the guy to fill the shoes when Akira Fitzgerald leaves the club.
Mhm.
Having Will Palmquist around is going to be very valuable to that club.
Definitely.
Not to mention the 2 teenagers that they recently signed,
Mhm.
as well as recently announced news from Richmond, that Carlton Belmar is gonna be called up to the Grenada national team, ahead of the CONCACAF Nations League. So, not only do you have experience in the goal, you have 2 young players who are growing and developing in a high-performing club. I know that they're in 11th place, but there's a history within this club. There's a direction to this club. Those players are gonna be growing and developing into good, valuable players in years to come. And you have players who are experienced further up the field who are getting called up to international duty. So there's a lot of good things happening there in Richmond. And it's hard not to focus on those things despite the fact that they're having the results that they are so far.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
And speaking of international duty call-ups over in Central Valley. Francois Dulis is being called up to the Haiti national team ahead of the CONCACAF Nations League, as well as Jesse Williams. He's going to be getting called up by Trinidad and Tobago. Um, so there's a lot of good things happening, international duty on both sides. Um, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that Owen Gordon recently celebrated a birthday. I think it was just couple days ago, earlier this week. So happy belated birthday to Owen Gordon.
Yeah, happy birthday.
But as we get into this match,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's it's a match. Like there is big things in it. It does not jump out at you immediately. Just looking over the entire slate for the weekend. However, there is some interesting things to take away. With Fuego going to Richmond, I mean, you think with Central Valley's record this season being 5-5-21, that their away rank in our rankings of their records would be 12th place. It's actually not. Their away rank is higher than Richmond's home rank. They sit in 10th place as far as their away form, and Richmond sits in 11th for their home form. Not something Richmond Kickers fans are used to at all.
and let me pull this up. I think there's a cool stat that I just came across here. If you look at Central Valley Fuego's last away matches,
I mean, they've won 3 of their 5 away. So,
yeah,
that that's huge. And I think we kind of see that. They tend to perform better in general away from home than they do
yeah,
at home, which is kind of weird. We've seen it a couple times with other teams in this league, Tormenta being one of them. Um, I don't. Maybe it's just that road warrior mentality, or maybe guys just like. I used an old Taylor Martinez quote. So if you're not a Nebraska fan, I mean, sorry, but he said one time, "I like playing against road games." This seems to be Central Valley Fuego's motto as well. Maybe put a little bit better than Taylor Martinez did, but still, it seems that way. They play better away than they do at home.
so we've seen that Richmond has had some offensive woes
Very much
in
so.
recent weeks, and when you consider the fact that Central Valley Fuego has failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 14 away games, that lends a bit of a hand to Richmond, who, I mean, they've had some tough times scoring goals recently. Let me look at their most recent matches here. Um, in their last 5 matches, they've scored 4 goals.
Mm.
So if you're walking into this one, you're thinking, no, I mean, we got a chance of scoring some goals. Central Valley Fuego has also failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 30 games.
Oof.
Yeah. On the flip side, Richmond Kickers have also failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 15 games. So there's going to be some goals in this one.
If you like goals, this might be one to watch for sure.
Yeah. And um, let's see. Here's another interesting stat for you. There has been a penalty in 52% of Central Valley Fuego's League One games this season.
Guys know how to draw penalties. That's a good way to get get some points on the road. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That's a big momentum swinger when you're able to draw penalties, especially away from home. I mean that's going to really set you up really well, um, especially on the road.
Yeah, this one is going to be pretty interesting to watch. There's going to be some interesting storylines to watch here. I think Terzaghi is still injured, so I don't think we're going to see him for this one.
Yeah, I doubt it. Especially, I mean, we did just talk about how there is things to play for, but as far as somebody like him playing in a match that is quote unquote meaningless, I think you probably just don't even risk anything. I mean, I know you have what think our off season's really only like 4 months long and even shorter for players. So
Mm,
um, you figure you don't want to go through and get another injury or another knock, especially when he's only going to have about a month and a half off after the season ends anyway. So if I was Darren Swatsky, I wouldn't even risk it, to be honest.
yeah. And flipping over to Central Valley, Cerritos, their leading scorer, has 9 goals on the season. 4 of those were the first goal in the game. So this guy knows how to get the party started.
Mhm.
And let's see what he can do in City Stadium. Central Valley has never won in City Stadium. So there's another storyline there too. This could be a really interesting one to watch.
Yeah, it'll definitely be on. I'll be watching it. I am really interested to see how Richmond is going to be able to try to stop Central Valley's attack, because Central Valley has been able to hold on against some teams that are much higher in the standings than they are. Um, Whereas Richmond has had kind of the opposite problem. They have just not played very well against most teams in the league. Um, so this could potentially really sting for Richmond. I mean, nobody wants to lose on decision day. Nobody wants to lose in front of their home crowd. And nobody especially wants to lose on decision day in front of a home crowd to the wooden spoon winning team. So there's some
Yep.
drama there. I'm sure City Stadium is going to be loaded with people like it always is. They're going to come out, they're going to support the kickers. It's not going to shock me at all to see 5,000 people there, even for a perceived meaningless match. And the city of Richmond itself takes care of their own. So just having that $5 of your ticket going towards the that neighbors Richmond neighbors program, I mean, they're going to show up and show out for their city. They always do. So
Yep.
it'll be really cool to watch, and especially being the last one of the year. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there letting a whole lot of emotion fly. So it'll be interesting to see the crowd reactions as well.
Yep. All right, let's jump into predictions. What are you thinking?
Uh this one for me is super tough. I really like Central Valley when they play against really anybody because they keep it so close. And Richmond just hasn't looked like Richmond. And even throwing in the new signings that they have, they're getting the same results and losing the same way. So it's got to be something schematically or the way players are being taught to play in this system. Something is not right with the entire thing. So, um, but that being said, I like the Richmond Kickers 1-0, and I think the crowd is going to play a huge factor and be on Richmond's side early and often. But yeah, give me Richmond 1-0.
All right, I came into this whole discussion thinking Richmond 2-1. I think oh, that's not what I wanted to look at. There we go. That's what I want to look at. I am gonna go with yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Richmond 2-1 in this one.
So we both think it'll be a one goal difference. It
Yeah,
just, oh man, I really like that 2-1 because thinking about it now, I do really like Central Valley to score, but
yeah,
I'm gonna stick with 1-0. But I really like yours. So
cool. All right, next match. And I love this matchup, and I'm so excited to talk about this one. This is the Saturday night matchup at 7 p.m. Eastern time between Charlotte Independence as they host South Georgia Tormenta.
oof.
And This one has tons of meaning across the board. But before we do that, the promo for the night is going to be Breast Cancer Awareness Night presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. And you can purchase player worn and autographed warm up tops on the club website. And all proceeds will benefit Carolina Breast Friends.
That
So a
is
worthy cause to support.
a terrific name.
Yes.
I really like that name. That is very clever.
This one has playoff implications all over it. So Charlotte is still trying to lock up a first round home bye, or I'm sorry, her home match. Tormenta is simply trying to get into the playoffs. And Charlotte is desperate to play at home in the first round because they are a far better team at home than they are on the road. So they need to be hosting in the first round if they want to get deeper, if they want to make it to the semis in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are definitely one of those teams that I mean, we look at it. They have 10 wins at home. That puts them in the second best in the rating system as far as home rankings. However, they are coming across Tormenta, who for some reason Tormenta the past 2 seasons have been late season Warriors and Road Warriors. So they're sitting in fifth as far as the rankings, so a little bit above mid range, but they've poured it on as of late. So this match is huge. And like you said, I mean, implications on the table for a lot of different teams in this match. This match is one of those hinge point kind of matches, um, which is going to make it really, really tough. I'm going to have to pull on some multiple tabs. I'll probably have to watch the games on the PC and have multiple tabs open watching all of these games because there's too many good matches with too many things riding on all of these matches.
So consider these two stats when you're deciding whether or not you want to give Tormenta the edge for an upset. At least one first half goal has been scored in 90% of Tormenta's games this season. Follow it up with the fact that Tormenta has scored the opening goal of the game in their last four away matches. So if you combine those two, that's telling you a pretty good story with Tormenta going into to Charlotte this weekend.
Mhm. Yeah, it definitely does. Wow, it's this is a tough one to call. I mean, we've talked about Tormenta quite a bit. Charlotte again, not as much, but that team in Charlotte has a lot of firepower, and I mean, especially at home. I mean, you you can't argue with second best with their home attack. But the thing that is really shocking to me is at home they're giving up less than a goal a match. They're sitting at 0.73 goals per match averaged out with 8 clean sheets at home. This team is amazing at home. So that definitely goes right into what you were saying about if they want to make it any further in the playoffs, they need to get a home match. And unfortunately for them, sitting in fourth place, they are really only going to get one, potentially maybe two if some really crazy stuff happens. But Charlotte at home is a different animal. Um, Tormenta away is a different animal because if you look at Tormenta's away goals for average, it's over 2 goals a game. So something here has got to give. I mean, it's Tormenta's offense versus Charlotte's defense, and Charlotte's offense versus Tormenta's defense, and it both of these units are playing extremely well for both sides. So uh, both of them turning on late, which makes it great for us because some late season drama is always great.
Yeah, and this is a prime opportunity for a lot of goals with prolific scorers on both sides. On Charlotte's end of the field, you have Trezor Mbuyu, you have Dane Kelly, you have Corey Bennett. Um, Mbuyu has 9 goals. He leads the team with 9 goals. Dane Kelly has 8. Corey Bennett has 6. Flip the field, go over to Tormenta side. You have Keziah Sterling and Makwele Akale. Keziah Sterling has 13 goals and Akale has 11 goals. So this is going to be a match that could um, see the scoreboard like just breaking from all the goals that they're going to be registering.
Yeah, and honestly, these goals are probably going to come pretty quickly because both of these offenses are quick counter, get after it, and win your individual battles, which both of these two teams have guys up front that more often than not win those individual battles. Don't want to say it's going to come down to defense because I don't think it's going to be one of those. It comes down to defense, and one defense steps up and heroically holds off the floodgates and doesn't let a goal in. I feel like this is going to be whoever gets one stop in that pivotal. I can't even say it. Those one-on-one matchups. There's going to be one stop. Somebody's going to be the hero, and it is going to be a high-scoring affair with one shot deciding the entire match.
Yeah, and if you take the prolific scoring even one step further, let me scroll back down to that. Keziah Sterling has 13 goals. 5 of his goals were the first one in the match. Scroll down a little bit further. Makwele Akale has 11 goals this season. 6 of those were the first one in the match. So you have 2 players combining for 11 goals being the first one in the match. That's like a third of the season just looking at that alone.
Mhm,
So Charlotte has a true test ahead of them, and especially with the Tormenta side that's coming in, that's armed, they're dangerous, they're determined. This one's going to be extra special to watch.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. Oh man, just
Are we
trying to.
ready for predictions,
Ah, I think so.
or should we go through the playoff scenarios first?
Let's go through the playoff scenarios.
Okay, so for Charlotte, um, if they win, they get an automatic first round. They host the first round of the playoffs. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like they are guaranteed to host the first round. If they draw or lose, they need Greenville, who hosts Lexington this weekend. They need Greenville to lose or draw as well. On the other side, for Tormenta, there's no other way to look at it for Tormenta. They have to win this match. If they draw or lose, they're automatically eliminated from the playoffs. Not only do they need to win, they also need Forward Madison, who hosts Union Omaha this weekend. They need Forward Madison to lose or draw. So even if Tormenta goes in and wins, they did their part. Now they're the biggest Union Omaha fans in the entire league.
Yeah.
So either way, Tormenta will finish either sixth or seventh. One Knox can tie Tormenta on points, but Tormenta has the tiebreaker with league wins. So the worst finish that Tormenta can have for the regular season is seventh place. The best finish in the regular season they can have is sixth.
Mhm. Yep. 6 gets you in the playoffs, so.
Yep. And we'll delay predictions even one step further because Tormenta had some cool club news come out. There was that whole list of League One players who were called up to international duty. Well, Tormenta had a player that was on that list, Deshaun Nemhard, he was called up to the Belize national team ahead of the CONCACAF Nations League. So congrats to him.
Definitely. It's always good for the league to get more guys in there.
Yep.
Hopefully, he gets some playing time as well, so we'll be able to see that and be. And then when he inevitably does something and gets involved, we can be like, yeah, we see that every single week.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Prediction time. I'll let you go first.
Ooh, this one's tough to call. A lot of offense for sure. Like I said earlier, it's going to come down to a heroic effort from one side or the other. And um, for me, after last season, it's really hard to pick against Tormenta late in the season. And they usually take care of business. They've been on a little bit of a run. Obviously, last week set them back, losing to Union Omaha. But I have some faith in this Tormenta team. I see Tormenta taking this one 4-3 and putting themselves in position to be Union Omaha supporters for the short amount of time that they would not know the score of the Omaha Madison game.
I love it. I love it. 4-3. Oh, let me put that in the outline. You're saying Tormenta 4-3?
Tormenta wins 4-3.
Oh man. I think I'm going to go for the upset too. Um, I'll say Tormenta 3-2.
Yeah, I just feel like Tormenta at this point in the season, they are made for this part of the season. Um, they want obviously they want to make it into the playoffs. They got nothing to lose, so they got to throw the whole kitchen sink at it. Yes, Charlotte wants that home match, um, but they also are going to have to think about load management as well for the playoff match if they can or can't afford to have somebody be without a little bit extra rest. So maybe you see a player or two rest, maybe you don't. Maybe they put a lot of emphasis on that first round home match. We'll just have to find out. But I really have a tough time betting against Tormenta after what they've done in the last half of this season and last season as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's going to be fun to watch and I can't wait to see it unfold. They do play at the same time as our next match, but I mean, since I'm not going to Madison to watch Union Omaha play, I can double screen it without a worry.
Hmm.
All right, so let's get into that next match. Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you have Forward Madison hosting Union Omaha. And the promo for this evening, for this match, is going to be fan appreciation night as usual. And Forward Madison, like they're going all out with their promos for this one. They have five that we can speak of here. There's going to be 100 flamingos hidden throughout Bree Stevens Field. If you find one, you could win a scarf, socks, keychains, hats, shirts, and other novelties from the Forward Madison team store. They have two ticket packages. They have a nonsense and a no nonsense ticket package. The nonsense ticket package is $30. You get a flock end ticket, you get a pink lightsaber, and you get one giant foam cowboy hat. So it's kind of that Space Cowboys thing going on.
Sure.
Then you have the no nonsense ticket package for $30. Again, you get one grandstand ticket. You get one 16-ounce draft beer of your choice, and you get a hot dog. Now, there's another one here. If you head over to the Flock End beer kiosk, they're going to have a mystery beer on sale for $4. The club knows what that beer is. You do not. So $4 and you get to drink a mystery beer. Um, over at the Flock End beer kiosk. And the last promo that we can talk of here, that the one that we were able to find, is called Kick the Keg. And I love this one. I hope other clubs do this one next season.
My favorite.
From the 70th minute to the end of the match, 50% off all draft beers.
Man, that is the my favorite promotion of the season, hands down. I agree with you. More clubs should adopt it as soon as possible. Um, it does bring up an interesting question about the morality of doing so. I mean, the 70th minute. I know in Omaha, beer sales get cut off in the 80th minute. So, but then again, I think most people are responsible enough to be able to handle that from the 70th minute on. So
Yeah.
make good decisions if you are in Madison, Wisconsin at this match this weekend.
Yep. Drink responsibly.
Always. Just get a driver. Uber's gonna love that place. They might as well set up
Exactly.
an Uber pickup point with cars just waiting for you after
Yep.
the end of that match. 50% off, can't be beat.
Or get an apartment that overlooks Bree Stevens.
Yeah, do
You
that.
can go to the match, you can walk back to your apartment.
Oh man. Airbnb as well, just right there, Airbnb that out,
Yeah.
make a killing.
All right, so let's jump into the match. This is a must win for both clubs as well. For Ford Madison, if they win, they're in the playoffs.
Yep,
There's nothing else holding them back.
winning in.
Yeah. For Union Omaha, a win gets them the Players Shield. So there's a lot on the line for both clubs in this one.
Player shield, first round bye, and advantage of home throughout the entire playoffs.
Exactly. Um, and you saw that recent promo. And this question comes from I think it was Tim on Twitter. He posed this question. You saw the promo from Ford Madison saying that this is a match against their biggest rival. How do you feel about Ford Madison labeling Union Omaha as their biggest rival?
Um, oh, how the turntables. It's very interesting to hear. I would have thought for sure that that honor would go to the Richmond Kickers, um, because that is my favorite rivalry in the league is the Henny Derby. Um, Granted, maybe that's more of a sorry, I'm going to use another college football reference. Maybe that's more of a Nebraska Oklahoma style rivalry where it's a rivalry of respect, and Madison and Omaha is a Nebraska Colorado rivalry where we hate each other. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I guess it's bulletin board material for Union Omaha, maybe. Um, Definitely kind of came out of left field. I will say that. Maybe it's just trying for the hype, but I will say that that tweet was very well done, and that that hype video that they put out with it also very well done. Not surprising coming out of Madison, they do um, everything on the social media side, on the promo side, better than I would say almost every single team in the league, if not every single team in the league. Um, but yeah, definitely interesting. But if that's how they see Union Omaha, then I think Union Omaha should pick that up and agree with them and make it a real rivalry.
Yep. All right. So I have some stats lined up for, and I gotta say, I agree with you. I feel like by the club saying that Union Omaha is their biggest rival, I feel like that was more of a promotional effort to try to draw fans into Bree Stevens Field. Um, I certainly feel like Forward Madison and Richmond is the number one rivalry in the league,
Mhm.
without a question.
Yeah.
Do I feel like Union Omaha and Forward Madison are rivals? Of course, yeah.
Mhm.
I even mentioned it in the Union Omaha recap when I wrote about it following the Tormenta match. But I wouldn't consider either club the biggest rival for the other club.
No.
So I it was interesting to see or Ford Madison label Union Omaha as their biggest rival, but whatever.
Hey, I mean, if they want to embrace it and then that's what it turns up and ends up being, so be it.
Yeah. So Ford Madison has only won one of the last 5 matches against Union Omaha. Um, and when you look at so a lot of these stats are obviously going to side or favor toward Union Omaha. Now that's not because we're going to be homers here. It's because of their performances this season. I mean, these are statistics that you can look up yourself and you can find them. We're not just sitting here trying to say, um, we're not going to try to push this like an agenda here. At least one first half goal has been scored in 84% of Union Omaha's games this season. And uh, at least one first half goal has been scored in each of Union Omaha's last 12 games on the road, 5 away matches. And Union Omaha is undefeated going into halftime when they have the lead. So that's quite a bit of buildup there um, for this match. Now, we can also speak from the perspective of Forward Madison because Union Omaha does not have the greatest record in Brees Stevens Field.
Nope.
The last time that Union Omaha had a victory in Brees Stevens was back in 2021. So it's been a while since Union Omaha left the confines with a victory.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also have to consider the fact that these two teams, when they play each other, draw a lot of cards. And if you are drawing attention away from the ball and onto the man, that ball is not going to go into the net as many
Yep.
times as you would think it's going to. Um, so 9 of the last 10 games between Ford Madison and Union Omaha have seen 4 or more cards. So yeah, this one, there's a lot on the line for both teams. They have quite a history together. There's sure to be some sparks, some fireworks on Saturday evening as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it'll be a good match. Obviously for obvious reasons, this is the match that I will be following closely, the closest out of all of them. Um, but I'm also really interested to see. I mean, obviously, Forward Madison brings out fans for their matches. I know the weather is not going to be great in Madison this weekend. Um, there's going to be some rain in the forecast, although I did hear, listening to Talk and Flock earlier today, um, that it's supposed to clear up by the time the match actually kicks off. So um, that plays a little bit better. I don't know that either of these teams have played a whole hell of a lot in bad weather. We have not seen a ton of bad weather for matches this season. We've seen a few delays, but nothing, no heavy downpours coming down while matches are going on. So don't know how these teams are going to play with that, but we do know that Ford Madison has kept 7 clean sheets at home, and this season that's That's a huge accomplishment for them, but it is going to be very difficult for them to keep an eighth clean sheet against a Union Omaha attack that um, has really come into its own these last few weeks. They they've brought their goal differential um, for this season right up there to um, 19 for their goal differential. That is good for second best in the league. First best being Northern Colorado with 20. So Omaha scores goals. Madison is very good at keeping goals out at home. This is going to be a very good match. As far as those two things, obviously you're going to have some cards. It always gets heated. It got heated when Omaha and Madison played in week 2 and when they played in week 11 as well. So, um, yeah, I mean, that also makes a rivalry. So maybe there is a little bit of something to Ford Madison calling this their biggest rival match.
Yeah, and speaking to your point about Ford Madison being a strong team at home, they're undefeated in the last 4 matches.
Hmm.
And Christian Chaney, their leading scorer, has 10 goals on the season. Half of his goals were the first goal in the match.
Hmm.
And I think he scored the first goal in the match when Ford Madison beat Union Omaha in Omaha earlier this season. I think that was a 2-1 victory for Ford Madison. And I think
Was
Christian Chaney scored that first goal.
Yeah, and I think Christian Chaney was also the one that scored in week 2 as well against Omaha. So, um, yeah, Christian Chaney likes playing against Omaha. He always has,
Yeah.
even when he was with Central Valley. So, um, not shocking there. I expect Christian Chaney to have a big match for sure.
Yeah, he likes doing those backflips right in front of
He
the
does.
fans.
He does, and he does them well. For a
He
big
does.
guy, he's got some backflip skills.
Yeah. And when you look at Union Omaha leading scorers, you have Noe Meza and you have Steven Dos Santos both on 12 goals.
Yeah, it's a committee as well.
Yeah. Steven Dos Santos has 3 goals, which were the first goal in the match, and Noe Meza has 5 goals, which were the first one in the match. So there's some interesting dynamics happening
Definitely,
between these 2 clubs.
definitely is.
Um, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and rattle off some more stuff, but I mean, just looking at um, the way that these teams play, I mean, even if you take Christian Chaney out of the game, you still have to worry about Derek Gebhardt, their second highest scorer. I think he has 6 goals on the season. He's no slouch either. You cannot allow him to have the ball in space. So I mean, this is one of those matches where it's 2 quality teams going up against each other. They're very familiar with each other. You saw the way that Christian Chaney was going up against what was it, Alexi Swahi in those early matches. It was Junior Palacios. They were going
Junior.
after each
Yep.
other too.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some bad blood between these 2 teams, and so it's going to be fun to watch when Saturday night comes around.
Mhm.
All right. So for playoff scenarios, I think we already went through all these. Madison, they have to win, well,
Yep.
win in order to determine their own fate, getting
Mhm.
that last playoff spot.
Yeah. Winning in.
Yeah. If they draw or lose, they need Tormenta to draw or lose. And if Madison draws and Tormenta wins, this is where it gets sticky. Tormenta will win on tiebreakers.
Third tiebreaker.
Third tiebreaker. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it gets down in the nitty gritty for those ones.
Yeah. And then looking over at Union Omaha, obviously we said that if they win, they lock up the player shield home advantage throughout the playoffs. first round bye. Gets a little bit messier if they do not win. If Union Omaha draws, they need North Carolina, who hosts One Knox, to draw or lose to win the Shield. Now, if Union Omaha loses, they need North Carolina, once again, who hosts One Knox, and they need Northern Colorado, who hosts Chattanooga. They need both North Carolina and Northern Colorado to draw or lose for Union Omaha to win the Shield. So, with all those playoff scenarios for both clubs, the easiest route is just win.
Yep. Just win, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. You beat me to it. I was going to use that same quote too.
Yep. Great minds think alike.
There you go. All right. You ready for predictions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is going to be a tension filled match. It's going to be a I don't want to say hatred or bad blood style match, but there's definitely going to be some tough fouls. There's going to be some cards. There's going to be a lot of emotion left out on that pitch. That being said, you got to go through and you got to look at current runs of form. Madison just has not looked the same since they. It seems like as soon as they hit first place in the league for that week or two that they were in first place, they have completely did a 180 and have not been playing very well. Been playing a little bit better recently, but still dropping points where they probably shouldn't have. They could have locked up their playoff spot last week. So that being said, Omaha is on a big run. I doubted them last week, and I am not going to make that mistake again this week. Um, so I'm going to take Union Omaha 3-1, and Union Omaha wins the Players Shield. And because of my pick earlier in the show, Madison gets the loss, and Tormenta moves into sixth place, and Madison misses out on the playoffs.
Ooh. All right. I'm glad you put that all into perspective and gave the fans that Tormenta inclusion. All right. I'm also going to go with the Union Omaha victory. I will go with 3-2. Um, and by virtue of Union Omaha winning, Madison losing, Tormenta winning, and our previous predictions, yes, I do feel that Tormenta will jump forward Madison for that sixth seed. And if we are jumping back and talking about Tormenta being that road team in the playoffs, Tormenta is scary good on the road.
Hmm.
Um, so I think the right now the first team that would host them, oh, that would be Northern Colorado. Oh, Northern Colorado hosting Tormenta. Man, that would be a fun one.
Yeah, definitely would.
Yeah. But we can talk about that later because we don't even know if those two are going to be playing.
If it comes down to that, we will find out next week.
Yeah,
Little plug for next week's show.
exactly.
We'll be here regardless of what happens.
Yep. All right. Looks like we're still up to date on the YouTube chat. So let's jump into the next Saturday evening match. This one is also at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It is Greenville Triumph hosting Lexington Sporting Club.
Yep.
And the promo theme for this night, once again, Fan Appreciation Night. Greenville has a special ticket sale for $30. You get two tickets. And right now, they are also having an in store and online sale where you get 25% off store wide merchandise if you use the promo code, all one word, Triumph Fan. And that sale is available through Friday. So if you want discounts on Greenville Triumph gear, Go to the club website right now, use the promo code TriumphFan. And we've seen Lexington play with fire on the road. It'll be interesting to see how they step into Paladin Stadium to face off against Greenville.
Yeah, the Furman Triumph that plays there now. Um, this is going to be an uphill battle. I feel like for Lexington. Granted, Greenville is not very good at home, um, but Lexington is one of the worst away teams in the league. Um, I really want to keep riding the Lexington as a much better team than they're letting on. Um, but they've let me down quite a bit in the past few weeks that I've been picking them to win. Um, that I mean, we just have to kind of look at where they're sitting. They don't have any clean sheets away from home. They're giving up over 2 goals a match away from home. Um, and Greenville scoring almost 1.5 goals averaged at home. So um, it's hard. It's hard pressed to think that Lexington is going to be able to come into Paladin Stadium and walk out with a victory. And that's also backed up by the season series as well. I mean, Lexington lost to Greenville 2-0 in week 6, and then drew 1-1 in week 25. Um, that being said, Lexington is probably due for a win or a breakout performance. They usually do that about once every 5 matches or so. In their last 5, they have 3 draws and 2 losses. So to me, they're due for a win, and what better place to get a win than against the other green team in the league with the Greenville Triumph.
Yep. So Lexington have conceded the first goal of the game in their last 4 games, which goes right along with Greenville's recent stats, where there have been more goals in the first half in 80% of Greenville's home games this season. But there could be a twist of drama in this one because Lexington scores more goals in the second half. So let me jump to that one. Uh, More goals have been scored in the second half of Lexington's last 5 away games. So we could see Greenville Triumph come out to an early lead and then Lexington start to push the issue in the second half and try to make things interesting.
Mhm.
And also consider this: when Lexington was playing in last week's match, they had all those cards. Consider this: for Greenville Triumph, there have been 4 or more cards in each of the last 10 League One games involving the Triumph. So you could see Lexington having another very emotional matchup. And this is a Greenville team that needs to win because they could possibly jump into let me look at the league standings here. They could possibly jump into that 4 seed. They could overtake Charlotte if Charlotte loses at the same time, or draws or
Loser
loses.
draws, yeah.
So Charlotte could miss out on that first round hosting because of a Greenville victory. And um, I'm sure that Greenville fans would love to see a home playoff match. So this one could get very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Ooh, totally forgot because they did have, what was it, 2 red cards for Lexington in the last match. So they'll be without those players for this match as well. So I mean, granted, for Lexington, you I don't know if Do you know, Rich, if yellow card accumulation carries over to the next season?
Ooh, I don't believe so.
Okay, so they don't have to worry about yellow cards, but they do have to worry about playing without two of their players due to red cards.
Mhm.
Um, Granted, they were playing for their life really at that point, so understandable. Um, so, I mean, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for Lexington in this one.
I found another interesting storyline here.
Sure,
Some
let's
fun
hear it.
stats here. So Greenville Triumph have conceded the first goal of the game in their last 3 home games. And if you look at Lexington's leading scorer, Ates Diouf,
Mhm.
he has 15 goals on the season. Over half of those goals, 8 of them were the first goal in the match.
Ooh, okay.
So, another wrinkle of drama that could possibly uh, come to fruition on Saturday night. And Greenville Triumph have lost their last 3 home matches in a row. So, and Lexington have won. They've won just one in their last 5 away games. They have 1 win in their last 5 away games. So, despite all this, we know that Lexington is going to come out and we know that they're going to battle.
Yep, always.
Can Greenville properly defend the home field?
Ooh, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
That is going. It's. I mean, it's a tough ask. Really tough ask for this Greenville side to be able to do that, but also a really tough ask for this Lexington side to come into Paladin Stadium and get this W with not really a whole lot riding on the result. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. Um, Development for next season, momentum for next season, and I feel like that is actually a huge pillar for this Lexington team. I think they're going to pride themselves on being able to carry momentum over and get some of their maybe some of their younger guys a little bit more playing time as well in this match. I would definitely look out for that. And with Lexington, especially with those two red cards, maybe we see some of the younger talent see the field in this one.
Yep. I agree. All right. So, yeah, we've already gone through the playoff scenarios.
Mhm.
Um, Lexington could finish the season anywhere from 9th to 11th, depending not only on their finish in this match, but also finishes from around the other matches in the league. Before we get to predictions, we have club news from both clubs. Excuse me, just a moment.
Mhm. Yeah, so Lexington Sporting Club announced their intent to build a soccer specific stadium. Construction's already underway. It's going to hold 5,000 people, but rumored to be able to be expanded all the way up to 11,000 people. So that is a huge, huge stadium project. 7 training fields alongside the stadium as well. So not just a stadium itself, but um, 7 training fields as well. So that is definitely going to go into their being used by their academy system, which they placed a huge amount of emphasis on, which more teams in the league need to as well. Um, Also, something more teams need to look into is the Super League. The USL Super League president, uh, Amanda Vandervoort, was on hand as well for this announcement. Um, for their Super League team. And the stadium is expected to be open in time for kickoff for the women's season in 2024. Remember that the women's side is doing the European calendar as opposed to the USL men's side calendar and the American calendar. So if you haven't checked it out, go to their social media page and or anybody who covers the league, like Tyler Crane, I know did something for it, was on hand for it as well. So go over to the team or Crane Kicks Lex on Twitter or X, whichever one you're calling it right now, and take a look at those renderings because they look phenomenal. That is going to be a really special away day for the fans that get that first match inside that stadium.
And speaking of stadium news, Greenville recently announced that they're going to be returning to Paladin Stadium in 2024.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, we'll get another year of the Furman triumph, and because they like to poke fun at Union Papillion, so we'll throw the Furman triumph in there as well. So
I love all the banter that you've been getting into this week, especially with the guys over at Talkin' Flock. You've been having a lot of fun this week.
yeah, I've had a little extra time between work and coming home this week, so getting to get back into the banter scene a little bit again. All in good fun. I hope nobody takes anything I say that seriously or I upset anybody that much. I'm not trying to. We're just all trying to have fun here.
Yeah, I think you're doing a good job. You're not stepping over
Try.
any of those lines or anything like that.
I try.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've come to that time. Predictions.
Yeah. For me, with the two red cards and just the way they've been playing, I really see this one. I don't have that much confidence in Greenville either, so I give me a 2-2 draw in this one. I don't see either team taking full advantage of the other one in this one. These teams are, as far as the standings go, far apart. But as far as just watching them on the field on their best night, not too much separates these two. They're both really solid teams. One just hasn't had the breaks that the other one has. So I like a 2-2 draw in this.
Oh man, this is one where I'm having. I could see it go anyway.
Mhm.
I am gonna go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a Greenville victory. Give me 2-1. I think Leo Castro, Alan Gavilanes. I mean, I think those guys are. Um, I think they're gonna have a good night.
Yeah. We also have Michael in the YouTube chat saying Lexington gets their second win on the road with a hat trick from the reigning player of the month. Got some
Hey,
faith in
I'd
the
love to
club.
see it.
Hat tricks are always nice.
Yeah,
Always like to see
I'd
a
love
hat
to see
trick.
it. All right, let's jump into. This is the second to last match.
Hmm.
And this one also kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday evening. This is North Carolina hosting One Knox.
Well, yeah, this one deceivingly good.
Yeah. Another promotional theme for this evening is going to be fan appreciation slash shield night. I couldn't find any other details about any special happenings going on um, there at Wake Med Park, but um, I did find that North Carolina is having a team store sale where the theme is the more you spend, the more you save. So if you spend $25 at the North Carolina team store, you get $5 off. Spend $50, get $10 off. Spend $75, you get $15 off.
Oh, good
So it's another
lord.
one of those end of the season sales that you should definitely go and take advantage of.
I all of the I feel like all the men that are married out there right now are thanking whatever they believe in that their significant other is not a NCFC fan because that sounds like some girl math if I've ever heard it. The more you spend, the more you save. Is it really though? I mean, if I was gonna go in and spend $25, but I spent $50, but I got $5 more off, did I save money? My mind, no, but to each their own. It's still a good sale. Don't get me wrong, because you there's a lot of gear that I've seen in their website that even me not being a fan of the team is like, it's pretty slick. I might actually pick that up. So I actually might jump on the bandwagon and get some here.
That was way too good. Well, this will also be the last home match of the regular season for North Carolina, which means it will be their last regular season match as a USL League One um, club. So get out to Wake Med Park, cheer on North Carolina or um, One
Oxford.
Knox if you happen to be in the area.
Hmm.
Get out there and watch this one. We know that North Carolina is going to be, hosting uh, well, hosting a playoff match at some point in the playoffs. We don't know if it's going to be first round or if it's going to be in the semis, but that's what all the drama is going to be about this weekend.
Hmm.
So for North Carolina, their playoff scenarios are laid out like this. If North Carolina wins, they need Union Omaha, who, as we just discussed, is away at Ford Madison. They need Union Omaha to draw or lose in order for North Carolina to win the Players' Shield and have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. First round bye, all that stuff. Now, if North Carolina draws or loses, they need Northern Colorado, who hosts Chattanooga. They need the Hailstorm to draw or lose in order to lock up that 2 seed and have a first round bye and host the semis. And for One Knox, no matter what happens on Saturday night, they end up in eighth place. As we stated earlier, they can tie Tormenta on points, but due to tiebreakers, they will still remain in eighth place at the end of the regular season. They are not going to drop to ninth. Those teams are out of reach. So One Knox, they are staying at eighth place for the regular season. There are only two teams who will stay in their current state that we know of at the end of the regular season. We have 12th place Central Valley Fuego and we have eighth place One Knox. Every other club in the entire league could end up in a different position than where they currently sit.
Hmm. Just looking here as well on if NCFC wins and Union Omaha draws, it depends on how many goals NCFC wins by. Because our first tiebreaker is wins. Oh no, they would win it on wins. Never mind. You're right.
Yeah,
Man, so complicated. Just make it
yeah.
goal differential. Every other league in the world goes goal differential first, but we've got to be different.
All right, so let's jump straight into this one.
Yeah.
Um, you have a potent offense with North Carolina going up against a very stringent defense at One Knox. Um, this one's going to be a good matchup to watch.
Yeah. Um, we've talked about One Knox's defense all season. And it kind of really shows itself too when they are away from home. They're averaging one goal given up a match away from home. Coincidentally enough, I'm pretty sure Lewis only gives up one goal average completely. So it falls right in line with um, their goalkeeper and what he has done, um, playing really well and playing. Still think at this point he's leading the Golden Gloves. So um, I don't think anybody is going to be able to catch him this week unless NCFC puts up an insane amount of goals on him, which I don't see happening. Flip that around, NCFC at home, good, not not amazing, but they do score almost 2 goals a match at home and, um, give up almost a little over a goal and a quarter. So let's just say a little over a goal a match. And Knoxville, again, not a super high potent offense, but does get their offense based off of their defensive work and drawing the offense forward and hitting them on the counter. Only scores just barely over a goal per match away from home. Um, NCFC is one of the top 3 teams in the league for a reason. They're very well coached. They have a lot of firepower. Um, but this one Knox team has shown all season that their defense can stand up to teams like that. And that's just proven by the season series so far. North Carolina getting the win in week 12, 1-0, but in week 17, one Knox drawing North Carolina 2-2. So one Knox has shown that they can play toe to toe on both occasions with NCFC. So it's going to be very different. It's definitely going to come down to, in my mind, does one Knox's defense show up and are they able to limit the chances that this high powered NCFC offense has? They definitely, I expect Rafa Menzingen to be a target for NCFC on this in this match. It feels like he can do a lot of damage to this one Knox side, but I also feel like they are aware one Knox is aware of that situation and are going to be keying on him. So maybe that opens up some opportunities for their other high flying offensive players.
Yep. And we just finished discussing one of the teams that was involved in that match last week that featured so many cards. Now we're talking about the other club that was in that match. They're going up against a one knock side who has been involved. They in their last 10 games away from home, there have been 4 or more cards in those games. So now you have another match where North Carolina could potentially see some more fireworks going off. Now, just like what Brian was saying, this one should be more about North Carolina's offense against one Knox's defense because North Carolina has 2 very, very potent scorers. They have Olex
Mm.
Anderson, who has 17 goals on the season, 10 of which were the first goal in the match. Then you have Rafa Mensingen, who has 13 goals on the season. 6 of his goals were the first in the match. So between those 2 players, they combined for 16 goals scored first in the match. That is half the season. And they're going up against a one knock side who at this point is purely focused on defense.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to figure out a way that we can talk about another dynamic of this setup, but this one is purely like Brian just said, is about North Carolina's offense against one Knox's defense, about Sean Lewis in goal, how he performs against all those the onslaught of shots that are about to come at him this weekend.
Yeah.
And he has proven himself worthy all season long. That's why he leads the Golden Glove race right now.
Yep.
But if he slips and has a bad outing against North Carolina, he could potentially drop in those standings. So there's the meaning for one Knox. Not only are you playing to potentially be the spoiler, you're playing to save Sean Lewis's award.
Hmm.
So you got to watch out for each other for this one. I I still think, I mean, we're not jumping to predictions already, but the traffic is going to be one way in this match.
Yeah.
I don't know how deep North One Knox is going to be setting that back line, but you know that North Carolina is going to be setting their players very, very high, and they're going to try to go for the goal differential on this one big time.
Yep. Yep. But before we get to predictions here, we do have a little bit of club news for North Carolina.
We weren't even hanging out tonight, and I'm already getting you sick. You're on the video stream. So the club news out of North Carolina, they had two players called up to international duty. First off, we have defender Adrian Palayo, which we spoke about recently in the past couple of weeks because he was a recent signing for the club. He has been called up to the U17 Mexican national team ahead of their 4 matches in preparation for the World Cup that's going to be taking place in Indonesia. On top of that, Jaden Servania, who has already been called up to national duty with Puerto Rico, was called up once again for national duty ahead of the CONCACAF Nations League. So you have two players from North Carolina that are being called up to international duty, which is just so cool.
Yeah,
You love to see it.
you do. Yeah. Again, something that you always love to see in the league. And granted, they're not going to be in League One next season, but still getting guys from the USL into the CONCACAF Nations League is a big deal.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump down into predictions. So I will get things started off. And I think this one will be a North Carolina victory. And I'm going to say 3-0.
Ooh, yeah, 3-0. Um, mm, mm, I don't know, man. I've got a lot of confidence, excuse me, in One Knox's defense, and I feel like they're gonna have to be very crafty on the counter if they want to steal some points off of North Carolina. But I do see them doing so. So give me a 1-1 draw.
Whoa.
I like the defense. I think Sean Lewis is going to come up huge for One Knox and cement his uh, Golden Glove um, Golden Glove title on this one, and only give up his average of 1 goal.
All right.
And by the way, Allison in the live chat saying no comment on my girls math comment earlier.
That was so good. All right. Last match of decision day. Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Northern Colorado Hailstorm hosting Chattanooga Red Wolves. And I could not find a promo theme for this match, but I did find a ticket sale for Northern Colorado fans. For $16, you can get an on field standing room only ticket as well as a drink voucher,
That's a good deal.
which is a lovely combination. Wouldn't you want to stand at the side of the field with some beer going into your system?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a reason that doesn't happen at Union Omaha matches, because I would be that person standing right on top of you, because we talked about this last week on Linners and Woozers with them, how close you actually are in that stadium to the pitch if you're on the standing room only side. So a little plug for them as well. If you haven't listened to that episode, go ahead and jump over and check that out after you get done
Hmm.
listening to this one. But yeah, we definitely get into how close those standing room only tickets are to the field itself.
Yep. And another plug for Winners and Woozers, they're going to be chatting with Ayman Zayed here pretty soon.
Mhm.
So that'll be a fun conversation. All right. So we have some club news that we're going to talk about from Chattanooga. First off, because this information is actually pertinent to the playoff discussion. So Chattanooga recently removed the interim tag on Scott McKenzie and named him the head coach and technical director of the Red Wolves. He used to be the USL League Two coach for Chattanooga's affiliate Park City Red Wolves, and he coached his first match for the League One side Red Wolves in Week 21. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Not many people have been paying a whole lot of attention to Chattanooga, rightfully so. There's been a lot of talk about the playoff race, about the player shield, about a lot of those matchups, securing first round bye. Chattanooga has been developing very, very quiet momentum. They've been flying under the radar, but we're going to put them smack dab on the radar now because since week 21, when Scott McKenzie took over the Red Wolves, they have earned the sixth most points in the league. They have also scored 25 goals in 12 matches, which is an average of 2.08 goals per match. And only Union Omaha and North Carolina have more goals in that same time period. So they sit third place in goals scored since Scott McKenzie took over at Red Wolves.
Yeah, not even that. It's I mean, we said at the beginning of the season that 1.5 goals per match would get you into the playoffs. They're sitting at two. And they've earned the sixth most points since he took over, which also puts you in a playoff spot. This this sets up really, really well for this Chattanooga team.
When he took over Red Wolves, they were in 12th place. When you look at the standings right now, they are challenging to finish in ninth. If you look at the standings here and now, as we are speaking about League One, they are currently in ninth. They could lock up ninth place this weekend. That's how much of an improvement Scott McKenzie has had with that roster since the time that he has taken over. This is a transformation like we saw with Jimmy Weekly last season when he took over
Mhm,
to close out that season. Now we know that Chattanooga is not going to make the playoffs, in which case they're not going to be a finalist like they were last season. But Scott McKenzie is obviously steering that club in the right direction. And fans have every right to be excited about that team next season.
mhm.
And if you consider the rumors that we've been hearing about with Chattanooga possibly revamping their roster as they try to, you know, supposedly try to promote themselves into USL Championship. If you look at their recent performances, as well as the fact that they're going to be revamping their roster, this is going to be a club that you want to keep a very close eye on in the offseason.
Mhm. Yeah, that League One Day One next season is going to be hectic as hell for this for this Chattanooga squad. I fully expect them to instead of lose all of their best players, I fully expect them to be able to poach a few players from other teams across this league to really build out this roster. It seems they have their coaching figured out. So if you bring back even a quarter of the talent that this team had last season, this could be a solid playoff team next season.
Yeah. We know they have a good goalkeeper in Carlos Aviles. So,
Mhm,
I mean, keep him in net, start building up the pieces in front of him on top of what you already have and what you've obviously established as good performers. Yeah, this team could be scary next season.
mhm,
So we've been mentioning players being called up to international duty all evening. Chattanooga is no stranger to that because Ricardo Jerez was called up to the Guatemala national team for the CONCACAF Nations League, as well as Nicolas Cardona. He was called up to the Puerto Rico national team. He's going to be joined by North Carolina FC's Jane Cervania as they go to the CONCACAF Nations League as well.
Yes. Again, love to see it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the playoff scenarios and then we can start breaking down the match. For Northern Colorado, they can win the Players' Shield. They are not out of the race. They can still win the Players' Shield with a win, as well as an Omaha loss at Ford Madison and a North Carolina loss versus One Knox. So they need some help, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Northern Colorado can also get the number 2 seed with a win and a North Carolina draw or loss versus One Knox. If Northern Colorado, see, that was the first one. I thought I could go an entire episode without screwing it up.
So close.
Ah, damn it. If Northern Colorado loses, that guarantees them the 3 seed, heading into the playoffs. They will host a first round playoff match,
Mhm.
but they'll play on the road for the rest of the time leading up to the championship unless other things happen along the way.
I mean, they're guaranteed a top 3 finish.
Yeah. For Chattanooga, if they win, that guarantees them that ninth place finish that we were just talking about. If they draw and Lexington draws or loses at Greenville, and Richmond draws or loses versus Central Valley, that also gets Chattanooga the ninth place finish. All
Tough.
right, let's jump into this one.
Yeah, um, this one, I mean, it's hard when you try to look at the stats on this one because they are so misleading with how bad Chattanooga had been, um, up until Scott McKenzie came in. So obviously they don't score away from home. They're worst in the league away from home, and they give up a ton of goals. Granted, that was all before Scott McKenzie completely took over. So that makes it difficult to see what they're going to do. So you really have to look at their current runs of form. Their last three, two wins and a draw. Their last five, two wins, a draw, and two losses. So this is a team that is on the rise, and a team that, when they can play together, they can play very well. They may not have the most talent on the field, but they do know how to play to each player's strength. Um, Granted, with that being said, North Carolina is one of the best three teams in the league, and the gap between one, two, and three, and four, five, and six, and the rest of the league is pretty big. Um, I, these top three teams and Northern Colorado, with Trevor Amon being the for sure Golden Boot winner, nobody is catching him. I think we can safely say that. I think we probably could have safely said that 2 or 3 weeks ago too. But you got the Golden Boot winner, and a team that just plays so well together. It's going to be an uphill battle, even for a much improved looking Chattanooga Red Wolf squad.
Yep. When you line up the leading scorer for Northern Colorado, obviously we're talking about Trevor Ammon.
Mhm.
He has, what was it, 23 goals on this? Yeah, 23 goals on the
Yep.
season with 13 of those goals being the first one in the match. And if you look at Chattanooga, they have 2 players who together tally the same amount of goals scored as Trevor Ammon. You have Siobhan Marsh with 12, and then you have Rapapa Mensah with 11. So together they have 23, the same as Trevor Ammon.
Mhm.
Now, Marsh has 4 goals that were the first in the match, and Mensah has 5 that were the first in the match. So, you have 2 players on one team who are proven scorers, and you have Trevor Ammon on the other side. You also have Arthur Rogers, Enoch Kwakwa, Lalo Delgado. Um, Obviously, Hailstorm is a very high performing club right now. Chattanooga also high performing in their own right, as we just spoke about.
Yep.
This one has some interesting dynamics. Chattanooga obviously has their road struggles, as Brian mentioned as well. Um, I think Northern Colorado's strength in this match is going to be their ability to stretch Chattanooga. Chattanooga, I mean, almost in line with their moniker, the Red Wolves, they like to play as a pack. If you as Northern Colorado can draw them into a very thin line stretching across the field, you weaken Chattanooga a lot. And if you think about Northern Colorado's play style, they play very direct long balls, um, accurate passing going down the field. Northern Colorado is obviously going to be looking to stretch Chattanooga. I feel like that's the obvious tactic going into this match.
Mhm.
So for Chattanooga, it's all gonna be about staying compact, creating that overload with the personnel, and not letting there be too many windows uh, for North Carolina. Oh, there it is again. Northern Colorado to take advantage of. I got two in. Dang it.
Yeah, we'll get one eventually.
Yeah,
It's tough to disagree with anything on that.
yeah. Should we go into predictions?
I think we got club news for Northern
Oh,
Colorado to hit
yes, we
first,
do. Yeah,
and that gives me time to think while I'm talking here. What I'm
cool.
going to do. Um, so we have Hailstorm bringing in a professional soccer development program to Northern Colorado. They're introducing Hailstorm and Rain academies for all local youth players born between 2005 and 2015. All of this coming off the heels of Northern Colorado introducing their USLW team, Northern Colorado Rain FC, that will begin play in 2024. So I know on Litters and Moosers, when we were on with them, again, plug them, we had talked about them making that announcement soon. And I think that announcement came out a day or two after we did that podcast. So, yeah, there was a little bit of breaking, quote unquote, breaking news. I think everybody knew it was coming eventually, but um, they did say they knew the name, but would not even give it out to us off the air. So we found out at the same time everyone else did. But I mean, Northern Colorado Rain goes perfectly with the hailstorm. I think that PR department knocked that one out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they did a good job with that. And I'm so happy to see that there's going to be more women's teams across the country. It's so good to see the women's game expand.
Definitely. And doing the right things, making sure that um, they're in they're in a position to succeed with the stadium and everything as well. Um, that Future Legends complex playing host to them as well. Um, so that's great, and also the youth academies coming in as well. Two great things that a thriving league needs is development academies and women's sides to really round out uh, their entire roster of soccer. So
Yep.
well done.
The other bit of news coming out of Northern Colorado, another player has been called up to international duty. For the Hailstorm, it was Noah Powder, who was called up to represent Trinidad and Tobago and their CONCACAF Nations League matches. He'll be joined by Central Valley's Jesse Williams, as we mentioned earlier.
Mhm,
They have matches on October 13th when they host Guatemala, and then October 17th when they go on the road to Curacao.
mhm.
All right, prediction time.
Um, yeah, kind of like what I talked about earlier with this match. Northern Colorado is one of the three teams in the league that are heads and tails better than most of the rest um, the rest of the league. To me, this really just comes down to Northern Colorado being able to score a lot of goals, and Chattanooga, while being much improved, they are still behind the eight ball because they are um, just getting their coach in. Might not have all the players that he specifically wants for the system he wants to run. It's always tough with a newer head coach, even if they've been there for a little while as the interim head coach. So for that, I got to give the nod to Northern Colorado getting the win, and it unfortunately for Chattanooga fans, I don't see it being pretty. So give me Northern Colorado 3-0.
Okay, I think that's what I was going to say. Dang it. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a Northern Colorado win. If you look at Chattanooga's recent run of form in their last 5 away matches, they've given up 11 goals. If you're going to Windsor, Colorado to play against the high scoring Northern Colorado squad, that is not a recent trend you want leading into this match.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I think it's going to be a decisive victory for Northern Colorado. Um, dang, 3-0 sounds really good. I will one up you. I'll say 4-0 Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're going to go up or down with that one, and I think up is probably the right call, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, let me
S-
put those in here. So you had Northern Colorado
3-0.
3-0,
Yep.
and I had Northern Colorado 4-0. Cool.
So that means if everybody was paying attention to the picks earlier, that in my top three, it's going to end up Union Omaha, Northern Colorado, NCFC.
Oh, it does because you set a draw for
A
North
draw
Carolina.
for North Carolina.
Ooh.
So you can tell I've thought about this a little bit, and I didn't get I let the score come to me as we're talking, but the uh, the results I already have in my head before we actually start talking.
And that means that I have Union Omaha, North Carolina, and Northern Colorado. And then I can't remember how the rest of it shaped out. I know Tormenta was in sixth, but the
Yep.
4-5, I had
Ye
Greenville winning. And what did I have for Charlotte?
we both had Tormenta beating Charlotte, so that would mean Charlotte drops down and
And I had
Greenville.
Greenville winning.
Yeah,
So yeah, I have Greenville jumping into the 4 seed,
and I have Greenville drawing against Lexington, so that's a draw. They're both even on wins. Goal differential, Charlotte would stay in fourth place for mine,
but just barely.
but just barely.
Ooh.
So,
See, this is the decision day match that we can look forward to this weekend. You
yep,
gotta love it.
always love a good decision day. Well done, League One.
Yep. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. This is gonna be the best decision day for, man, years to come, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of very a lot of implications in these matches, and I think at least with the what I picked, there's going to be quite a few shocking results as well.
Yep. And looking over at the YouTube live stream, we don't have any questions at the moment. If you do have any questions, go ahead and throw them in there real quick, because we
Mhm.
are close to the end of the show.
Yeah. I'm just double checking Twitter or X, whatever we want to call it. Um, I think we actually hit both of these because we had one from Tim about the rival Union Omaha and Forward Madison, and then again Zach wanting to let me know that I bet against the Boo Hoes and lost that bet last week. To be
Yep.
fair, I wasn't betting against Union Omaha. I just was thinking maybe perhaps a team goes on a 13 game unbeaten streak that they drop one on the road because they're tired, but it did not happen this week. So there you go. I got my dues on that one and I'll take it. I did not do well last week in my predictions obviously, so
Hey, I'm also super happy that I'm not the curse for Union Omaha. I could come back to Omaha
you
without
can
any
come back to
guilt.
Omaha. It's true. All right.
All right, I'm still not seeing any questions in the chat. So if you're good to end the show, I'm good to end the show.
Yeah, I think we've gone a little bit over our usual, about
We certainly have.
15, 20 minutes now above our usual runtime, but
Yeah.
decision day is that big a deal. So, hey, you had to do it. And it will probably be some long shows starting in the playoffs as well because we got a less matches to talk about, but we can get into a lot more nitty-gritty detail with them.
Oh yeah.
So, that'll be good.
Yeah. That'll be a lot of fun. If you remember our playoff previews last season,
Oh
yeah, we
man.
we went long and we dove in deep into those
Mhm.
matches. So it was a lot of fun and I can't wait to do it again.
Yep. Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. That is Brian. And we will see you next week to talk about all the playoff action to come.
Thanks, guys.